You know, more people really should try this. Oh, not the chips. I mean, these are good, but I mean, this. Hey crew, I've got the key to this Porsche 911 Dakar. And today we're gonna see what it's like to live with. And before reviewing the driveway spacing, I have to share this quick story. So a neighbor was walking along with their kids, and the kid just couldn't help himself. He had to exclaim, "Look at that race car!" And you know what? In this livery, I kind of have to agree with him. It looks proper race car. So I've got it parked a couple inches in from the edge, sitting next to a Lamborghini Urus S that I'm also reviewing, with the back tire hanging a little off the edge. And with that parking job, I've got a ton of room to walk between the two vehicles, or in the case of my family, wheel our double stroller. And while the 911 has definitely grown in years, it's still not a terribly long vehicle, and so I've got a lot of room between the back of the garage door and the back of the car to walk in front of my hedge, and that's not even with the nose of the car all the way up to the gutter. There's still room there. When I first approached the Dakar to get in with the key fob in my pocket, it should present these flush-mounted door handles, but I think I've been hanging around too long, so they've gone back in. Now I need to press lightly on the handles to make them emerge, and I can go 1, 2, my goodness, 3 defined notches of the door opening before touching the Urus, allowing me a very large entry into the 911 Dakar. And I'm gonna need it because I've got to really contort over these tall fixed side bolsters of the carbon fiber buckets and then close up that door. Hello cabin crew, thank you for joining me for this day in the life with the Porsche 911 Dakar. And in this video, I want to see if living with a lifted 911 is any easier or perhaps on the other side less convenient than a standard 911. The way I'll do that is by simply bopping around town first, getting some coffee. Later, I'll see if I can do a Costco run in this car. Then tomorrow, I'll take it on the highway before I get it dirty, because if you're buying a Dakar, you better get it dirty at some point. But before all that, let me see if there are spots for the items I brought with me, like my smartphone and wallet. In the console, there's a cutout for a phone, but it's not a wireless charging pad. That can fit in there alongside my sunglasses, and the wallet can kind of just go on top of that. The key fob could stick in the cup holder, or I guess it can go in one of these door pockets. And then in the seat next to me, I've got my large water bottle, which I know for a fact will not fit in either of these cubbies, nor would it fit in the console with those items inside. And you know it's not going to fit in this cup holder, but there's actually a workaround, because I can remove this entire piece, and the opening is the perfect size to fit a large water bottle. I love that. Then I've got my GoPro accessories, which are in a soft case, so I don't worry that they're gonna hurt the carbon fiber bucket seats, so I can put them behind them where the rear seats would normally be, but are removed on the Dakar. Now, before I head out, I'm just gonna confirm that yes, the suspension has been raised the extra 1.2 inches over the standard Dakar's 2 extra inches of ride height compared to a standard 911. So we got 3.2 inches here, and that's gonna be more than sufficient for clearing the gutter in my driveway without any scrapies. And here's some fun facts about that suspension lift. So typically in a 911, you get a front end nose lift system that works only at low speeds. So below 30 miles per hour, when you're kind of just approaching a steep driveway, you can lift up the nose for the clearance so you're not scraping. But in the Dakar, it's not only the front end that's lifted, it's also the rear. And furthermore, it doesn't just work at speeds up to 30, it actually works at speeds up to 105 miles per hour. Now that's intended for off-roading, so you always have that extra travel, that extra clearance. But even here on the road, it's pretty convenient because I don't have to plan too far in advance, have to slow myself down so much before I can actually raise up that system. I can just at any time go, I'm gonna have a driveway up there at 50 miles per hour, why not just lift it? But I don't want to stay there, of course, because of fuel economy and aero efficiency, so I will raise that back down. And honestly, for the most part, I don't even really need to touch that system here on the road because you have that extra standard ride height, so I kind of just go over things, and that's a very freeing feeling. As I wait for this light, I want to listen to the turn signal sound, which is very gentle. And the turning radius is phenomenal. So good. Now, if out here in the streets, someone were to cut me off, really irritate me, and I needed to alert them of their grievance, I would use the horn. And honestly find a pretty harsh noise. That's gonna get their attention. Throttle sensitivity in the Dakar is much like the 911 GTS upon which this vehicle is based, at least powertrain-wise, meaning that the 8-speed dual-clutch auto will upshift in the normal drive mode at lazy throttle input so that it's not overzealous. It's going to save that fuel. And let's talk about the ride quality here on the road, going over some construction. Definitely moving around, and I did feel that harsher impact over those steel grates. I was looking for a little more natural cushion from the all-terrain tire sidewall and from the tuning of the suspension, but it still feels very much like a sports car. These carbon bucket chairs do slide forward or backward with this manual lever here and adjust the height with the power control on the side of the seat, but the shape is fixed. So if your body type doesn't work with that shape, you're in trouble. For me, it works fine, but the padding isn't overly comfortable. So after a while in this seat, you're starting to feel a little stiff. As I go to the brake, I can scrub speed super smoothly. It's very easy to modulate that pedal and just creep up to a stoplight. The cabin does feel spacious for myself at 6 feet. I do have the seat lowered all the way, but that gives me so much headroom here. And then visibility-wise, I can see easily out over the nose. The side windows are large, that back side window is big, and the view out the back isn't compromised at all. And it is really a good thing I can see out of the Dakar because I don't get blind spot monitoring, even on this $240,000 vehicle. All right, it's coffee time, and I could take the Dakar somewhere fancy to match its price tag, but I really like the sound of Dakar in a drive-thru. So it's gonna be Starbucks.
Hi there, how are you doing today?
Hi there, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you so much for asking. We're gonna get started for today.
May I please have a grande decaf latte? Yep, nothing's changed. Still can't handle caffeine. Ooh, that window squeak. Now, while I wait for the customer in front of me to get their coffee, I'm gonna press in hard on the brake pedal and activate the auto hold function so I don't have to work as hard. And this is nifty. While I'm sitting here, it brings up the surround view camera system, I guess because it detects that I'm close to obstacles around me. So even though the 911 is very maneuverable, and therefore I'm not worried about scraping against anything, I have the assurance of cameras. Hello. All right. You get many customers with cameras on their heads?
No? I saw that right here earlier.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not sure if that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just making videos. Thank you.
Exactly.
So it's a Safari 911. It's lifted. It's on all-terrain tires.
Yo, that's dope.
She was so nice. Oh, what am I gonna do with this? My water bottle's in the cup holder. Just kidding. I've got a second one, and it fits perfectly. As I take a moment to indulge in my decaffeinated decision while staring at a Denny's, just keeping that D-word theme going, let me discuss the usability of this cabin. I've gone over the storage space, but I haven't talked about the functionality of the technology. So here on the steering wheel, I've got buttons to control a variety of things. A voice command button, which works just fine. A shortcut button, which I really like after living with this car, because you can program it for anything from a radio station to the suspension lift, anything. And then over here, I can work between the dials and what information is shown inside them. And then over here on the infotainment system, it is quick responding and also very logical in the layout. Underneath that, I've got these toggles to control all the drive adjustments I'll need. Underneath that, I really appreciate that there are physical inputs for the climate controls. I loathe nothing more than having to hunt around in the infotainment screen while driving, trying to set the temperature or fan speed. That's all here. Then there is a volume knob to the left, and then this dial to work through the infotainment system if you don't want to touch it. What I don't like is all this gloss black. It smudges, it collects dust like a magnet, and it scratches so easily that it doesn't look great unless the car is brand new. That is a miss from Porsche. Especially so on the Dakar, which is gonna go off-road, where dust is just a given. That one blemish aside though, this cabin is laid out very logically and is really nice to interact with every day. This Burmester sound system isn't bad either. A test of practicality with a trip to Costco is up next. But first, I gotta get some lunch. I'm hungry. Let's go. And I've just about made it in very short order to one of my favorite pho spots, Soup Noodle Bar here in Irvine. When it comes to parking the Dakar, it's really simple because dimensionally it's not daunting at all. It is highly maneuverable, got a high-res camera system with trajectory lines, and thanks to the extra ground clearance, I'm actually not worried about rubbing up against curbs. Parking sensors to help as well. And I am all set. Ta-da! Now, to consume my lunch, I could go over there and eat on those tables like a normal human being, or I could use the Dakar spoiler. And while the spoiler on the Dakar isn't as prodigious as the wings on the 911 GT cars, it is very flat and therefore makes a perfect surface to consume my egg rolls and my pho. Yum. Wait, I can't leave this without some additional commentary. And this is not sponsored by them at all. This is just because I love their food. But typically when I get pho, I've got to doctor it up a ton with chili sauces and hoisin and all that just to get some flavor out of it. But out of the box, this short rib pho has so much flavor, I don't have to do anything. I mean, I wouldn't say no to some additional sambal, but I put sambal on everything. This is so, so good. And part of the reason it's so good is, look at this fried egg. It's hard to tell. Okay, it's very, very good. Whew. Now that I'm stuffed, it's time to stuff the Dakar with Costco things. Looks like I've got a decent load of goods to try to squeeze into the Dakar, and it is easier to spot this car, not only because it sits up higher than a standard 911, but it's also got stuff on the roof. I'm gonna start with filling up the frunk first, and I don't actually need to fish the key fob out of my pocket. I just swipe my hand on the nose right there, and that will release it. Look at this thing. I'd say the Dakar is doing really well so far. It's swallowed up a case of water, pasta sauce, ground turkey, sparkling water, saran wrap, and this cereal. Now, I do have the eggs and some pita chips left, but those are definitely gonna get crunched up here if I hit the brakes. So I'm not gonna try those. I am gonna try these paper towels, see if I can cushion everything in. Nope, that sticks up way too far. So these are gonna have to go in the cabin. Typically, you can just pull a lever and the seat would angle forward, but as I mentioned, these are fixed buckets, so all I can do is slide them, and that's as far forward as I can go, and that is too narrow of a window to get those through, so I'm gonna have to try it through the center of the cabin. And a little bit of effort, these are crushable. I am able to get them in the back, in the seat, and on the floor. And if you've got a passenger, they're holding your chips. And now, very importantly, put your carts away, people. It would appear the Dakar is Costco approved. And on that bombshell, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello from a new and much windier day behind the wheel of the Dakar. I'm going to take this vehicle off pavement momentarily, but on my way there, I'm on the highway, so I can talk about what it's like to drive this vehicle at these speeds, accounting for the fact that it is a gustier, blustier day today. And because of the extra ride height of the Dakar, when a big, strong gust does come across the vehicle, it does carry it more because there's more body above the ground to be carried than, for example, the standard Carrera 4 GTS upon which this is based. Thinking about the cabin volume, I'm going to quiet up for just a minute. Okay, so I can hear the big trucks as they pass by. I hear a little noise from the tires. I hear something from the flat 6 motor, and I do feel vibration from that flat 6 as well. The Dakar does have thinner glass than the Carrera 4 GTS, so there's more cabin volume just in general, and especially today, this windier day, I just get a lot of that wind noise. And not every day is gonna be as windy as today, so when you're on the highway in the Dakar, normally, yes, it's louder, but it is tolerable. There is one distinct advantage to the Dakar's extra ground clearance in any sort of traffic condition, whether it's on the highway or around town. The regular Carrera sits so low that if pretty much any car is sitting in front of you, you can't see beyond them at all. And if you're like me, that drives me nuts. I want some sort of understanding of how traffic is flowing so I don't just hope that the person in front of me isn't just staring at their phone or asleep at the wheel and cars are just moving. I want to know. So in the Dakar, the extra ground clearance that can then be raised up a little bit more can at least put you at the level of most vehicles, and in some cases put you up higher so you can see around them. I will say though that, as I mentioned before, the seat padding isn't generous, so if you're going to be commuting a lot or for long distances in general, you might want to bring a lumbar pillow. At last, I've made it onto a dirt trail, which is about as intense of an environment as the owner of a $250,000 Dakar is likely to pursue. But here, I do have a good excuse to go into the rally drive mode, because the Dakar doesn't have Sport Plus. No, it has Rally. And in the rally drive mode, on the dirt, as a Dakar owner, I would be really curious how quick my car could get to 60. So let's find out. There's 60 in 4.3 seconds. Who needs tarmac? Now I've got the suspension raised for some peace of mind, but traction control switched off for playtime. Wow, and I can already tell the suspension, which felt firm to me on the road, was clearly tuned for this, to absorb the punishment and not shake my teeth out of my mouth. Four-wheel drift in a Porsche. I've mobbed some excellent off-road vehicles through here. And yet I feel like I'm discovering this road for the first time, because none of those vehicles have had this level of steering precision, chassis control, and balance. So this is all new to me, and it's very much enjoyable. What a car. I feel like a new world has been unlocked. I don't want to spend some time here. What a machine. What a rush. In addition to rally mode for high-speed off-roading, the Dakar actually has an off-road dedicated mode for low-speed maneuvering. So here I face some modest obstacles, but as intense as I care to take it in the Dakar. And I'm thankful for the camera system to help me plot the best route, and the way the off-road mode remaps the transmission and throttle response for fine-tuned control. Also thankful for the underbody skid protection, in case I misjudged something. Going to upset the parking sensors today. And that is okay. All in a day's work for the Dakar. Oh man, all this dirt drifting and concentration now, it's really taking it out of me. I think I'm gonna pause for a break and a snack. Oh, this is a cool view. Oh, it's probably better up there. That's good. You know, more people really should try this. Oh, not the chips. I mean, these are good, but I mean, Yes. All right, before I conclude my impressions on living with the 911 Dakar, I'm gonna splash some fuel in its tank. It's 17.6 gallon tank. And the EPA rates the Dakar at 16 mpg in the city, 24 on the highway, and 19 combined. But from today's activities, mostly highway and a lot of rally, I've been getting 16.3 miles per gallon. And to fill this fuel tank with fuel prices of $5.37 for 91 octane fuel, it cost me 95 bucks. Moment of truth here. Is there capless fueling? No. It's a cool fuel cap, but come on. For shame, Porsche. At the beginning of this video, I wondered aloud whether an off-road oriented Porsche 911 would be better to live with than a more road-focused version. And after a good amount of time behind the wheel, both on-road and off-road, I can say unequivocally, it is. Starting with the simple matter of ground clearance, the extra ride height you get in the Dakar gives you this peace of mind, whether it's seeing around traffic nearby more easily or spotting your car in a parking lot more easily. And I know the roof rack and bright vinyl wrap do help with that one too. Or just driving around town, not really even needing to raise the suspension the extra inch if you don't want to have the peace of mind when going over dips or up steep driveways. You just relax. Then there's the concept of maneuverability. Now, a standard 911 is a very maneuverable car on the road, but the Dakar can of course go off-road, where not only can you flip a U-turn nice and neatly, but the dimensions of this vehicle, not being too long or too wide, mean that you can go on tight trails without stressing it. And speaking of off-roading, I mean, the simple fact that you can take a 911 off-road and it crushes it just unlocks this whole new world of enjoying this wonderfully balanced and beautifully precise sports car. It's quality of life, folks. And quality of life extends to pride of ownership, whether it's the kids in the neighborhood going, "Look at that race car," to the people on the street just giving you smiles and thumbs up, to the simple fact that you walk out to a parking lot and you see this crazy thing waiting for you, and you can't help but just smile and be filled with joy. But nothing's perfect. I mean, the carbon bucket seats are a little stiff, especially for long journeys, and the roof rack and just taller ride height do create more wind noise at highway speeds. And on windy days like the one I was driving this car in, it is prone to being blown further across a lane than a standard 911. But those are penalties I'd be more than willing to pay to live with the 911 Dakar every day. I hope you guys have enjoyed this POV day in the life, and I'll see you again next time.